What's going on, everyone? This is City Wrestling Radio, and this is the B Show. I'm your host, Corey Smith. I'm in the Diamond Studio today with joined via Zoom with my co-host of the B Show, Mr. Michael Vergara. How are you today, sir?
Much like CNN, MSNBC, and Fox News, we are about of the same quality as the rest of those shows, audio-wise. It's kind of crazy when you think about it. Like I don't really watch 24-hour news channels, nor should you, but the times,
unless you're waiting for coffee at a Starbucks, you can glance over. It's fine.
Yeah, but then it's just really just weird to see and hear like interviews with like dignitaries, but it just sounds exactly the same as this podcast, or the quality of my sound, the quality of my voice.
Yeah,
at least. And it's I don't want to say unprecedented times, because I feel like that's a term that's just been beaten to death by just everything and everyone. But it's the great levelator of our time. But
yeah. But guys, thank you for tuning in wherever you're tuning in, whether it's SoundCloud.com/City Wrestling Radio, Apple, Google, Stitcher, Castbox, or YouTube. Because hey, we're trying this out. This is the first City Wrestling Radio, I think, full episode of the B Show. If it makes it on to YouTube, hopefully the censors don't take us down.
We're not doing any music. We're just, our voices aren't copyrighted. That theme song isn't copyrighted, so I think we're in the clear. Maybe that Star Wars poster right behind you is like George Lucas himself. Not even George Lucas, like Mickey Mouse would be like, oh.
Yeah. But guys, like I said, this is the B Show. We're here to talk about AEW and NXT from last night. AEW Dynamite happened, and so did NXT.
They definitely did.
We're going to talk a little bit of wrestling news before we get into all that. And like I said, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe at CWR4 and 5, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Follow us on all of those because it's fun. It's something to do while you're sitting on the toilet, or just need to do something while you're maybe waiting for a pizza to be delivered, or you're picking up a new phone and
you
look at something.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
Or while you're waiting in line to go into a grocery store. Hey.
Or you're waiting outside the grocery store.
That's what I'm saying. Outside to get into the grocery store.
They said, yeah. Have you noticed? Okay, the grocery stores that you look at, like, how bad are your lines?
Well, the one I live by a grocery store in San Francisco. Not going to say which one, so I don't have people flocking to my house like Mick Foley, but we'll talk a little bit about that too. But no, there's lines. There's lines. I'm not going to be dumb and go to Safeway at 5 p.m. So,
I feel like that's the best time to go to Safeway, honestly, because it's just
busy, man. It's super busy. You got to wait in line.
Not that busy. People are working from home. Like, if in the regular times at 5 p.m. or 6 p.m., it would be the worst times. It's just rush hour. Everybody coming home from work,
11 a.m. or 9:30 p.m. 30 minutes before they close.
Yeah, like about an hour ago, the senior hours at the Safeway at my local Safeway just ended. So, I bet you it's just a straight up fucking party. It's like ladies' night in a bar.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's weird.
Remember bars? Anyway.
Hey, you know what? We're in phase 2 in California. About to go into, well, not in San Francisco, but about to go into phase 3 eventually. Maybe in a couple of weeks, maybe in a couple of months.
I heard that was tomorrow, but what is phase 2? Nail salons?
No, that's phase 3. I think tomorrow is just like...
No, phase 3 is profit.
I think tomorrow is like some retail stores if they do the social distancing stuff.
Oh, God. I don't know. I still don't know.
Fun talk about coronavirus. We're not afraid to say the words coronavirus here too.
Neither does AEW, but we'll get there.
Yeah. Guys, like I said, all that stuff, whether follow us at CWR4 and 5. Shall we get into the news, Michael?
Yeah, because somehow wrestling news are still happening. Like, we all thought everything was going to be on a pause, but nope, everything's still happening.
No, everything's still going and going. What are we going to start with today? Because I feel like
we brought up Mick Foley.
Mick Foley, let's talk about him. Apparently, someone's trying to kill him.
It's the implications heavily revolve. It's heavily implied, yes, but then I'm looking at the tweet. It's at Real Mick Foley. If you don't follow him, how dare you?
Bang, bang.
He He tweeted, "I have the make, model, and plates of your car. You know who you are? Surely you have better things to do than hang out at the top of my driveway with your ignition and lights on at 2:15 a.m. You sure took off in a hurry when you saw me. Get up, Corey. Get up. Show the people that shirt.
What?
I will describe it for the listeners. Is that the look of a man? It's the Terry Funk McFoley Japanese death match.
It's actually the most
poster.
famous shirt I have. Kenny Omega complimented it.
Yeah, it's Omega approved. So
The death match.
imagine robbing that guy, or not even robbing, just stalking that guy. I know Mick Foley is not the same man that he was when that poster.
Sounds a little bit more sinister than a robbing. I don't know, than a robbery.
Well, they got the make, model, and plates of the car, so
that's good. I mean, then they should be able to find them. Pretty easily.
You think it's the same house as the one in Beyond the Mat? Because I remember.
Is it Terry Funk?
I mean, he would find out. They got the make and model. Maybe Terry Funk was just like, I don't know whether or not I should go and up to him. It's 2:15 a.m. I just need someone to talk to.
I'm thinking of what do you call it? Halloween costumes for Halloween Hell this year at APW if it happens. And,
that's a big swing, but I respect it.
Me and Gabriel were thinking about doing Terry Funk and Cactus Jack. So
who would be who?
I would be Cactus Jack.
Okay.
And he could be Terry Funk.
Okay.
So hey, there we go.
Does he just have he just has a bandana lying around?
Yeah, and some red, white, and black tights. Anyways, but McFoley.
Stay safe out there, McFoley. Like, not only do we got that whole Corona problem, we also got that whole somebody trying to home invade you problem, and hopefully that'll be the end of it. No news is good news on that end.
There we go. Hopefully McFoley, I mean, I'm sure he has some good security, or at least if he doesn't, he does. He will now after this. Let's continue with some more news, shall we? We got some cancellations for New Japan Pro Wrestling. Actually, one postponed and one cancellation. Let's start with the postponement of the Wrestle Dynasty at Madison Square Garden. Postponed until 2021 due to the coronavirus pandemic. New Japan Pro Wrestling's Madison Square Garden show has been pushed to next year. We're going to start selling tickets, I believe, this week. Michael?
Sure, I guess. I don't have the story right in front of me. I wasn't on top of it.
Oh, well, we got to be on top of it here. I'm looking at my phone. It's okay. To take place at Madison Square Garden at August 22nd of this year. It's pushed back just like pretty much everything else in the world of professional wrestling. And I don't know.
This was kind of a big deal, it's Madison Square Garden, it's New Japan, all by themselves. No ROH stink all over it. I don't want to talk ill of ROH. They're probably the most responsible wrestling promotion next to New Japan right now. But yeah, it was like listening to Dave Meltzer last night. He pretty much said this. They were trying to make this a Dominion level show, and you didn't know the card, but what would you run? What New Japan main event would you run MSG? Like with the roster that they have now?
Jay White, Okada. Again,
but then that's neither of them are champion. I'm talking about champion. Like who would Naito face?
Jay
assuming
White. I mean, Jay White, dude, for sure.
I don't know, man. I think New Japan has a level of self-awareness of what. I know they want him as the next Kenny Omega, but he's not the next Kenny Omega.
No, definitely not. He's himself.
I mean, that match he had against Okada at MSG 2 years ago, God, or was it 1 year ago? I forget. That was a pretty good match, but that was more of an Okada that was just more of Okada just being Okada more than just a great match. No. But nonetheless, that's all pie in the sky right now, considering it has been postponed to 2021.
Also, the cancellation of the Best of the Super Juniors tournament.
These cancellations, these postponements, they're formalities. Like, we knew this was going to happen because of the way the world is not heading towards, but then just the direction of said disease.
I think everyone held out hope.
Oh yeah, you would always want to hold out hope, considering how rigid yet flexible everything about this thing is. Like, I'm not saying we're gonna have a vaccine tomorrow and everything's okay, but
Yeah.
you also don't want to rule out the possibility of completely closing within 2021. You can still make that prediction. It's nothing's 100%.
In New Japan's statement about the cancellation of the tour, they noted that they will make announcements regarding events that are scheduled for after June 6th upon careful monitoring of the developing situation with the pandemic. New Japan Pro Wrestling also wrote that they're continuing to explore the possibilities of presenting matches without fans in attendance if staff and wrestlers' health and safety can be protected to the highest possible standard.
They're doing that Go Shiozaki, forgot his name, match where they just stare at each other for 45 minutes. They learned from that.
I think they're learning from AEW that you can have exciting shows with a limited number of people.
But then
same time though,
it's New Japan though.
What are they gonna do?
That to me, that like ain't no better crowd than New Japan. Like, I know the matches would be killer. They have it in there. They have it in, like, that roster they can fart out great matches whenever they please, but it's worth a shot. Like, it's better than,
what I'm saying is, what do they do, like, if this goes on for another year? You know what I mean? Like, they have to do something eventually at that point to make money.
Yeah, there's money to be had at that point. Like, you
can't see New Japan Pro Wrestling go out of business.
Like, you see Wrestle One, Muto's promotion, they pretty much just folded because of this. Yeah. It was going to fold anyway, but this kind of just further accelerated that. And Stardom does empty arena shows. I think, I guess New Japan, like, they're just holding out as long as they could in that regard. But I mean, hey, in a perfect world, if everybody, in a perfect world, this thing would be gone whatsoever. But it's a predicament. Like, you either come off as a responsible wrestling promotion, or you become a wrestling promotion.
It was inevitable to see. Eventually, I'm excited. To see some more New Japan Pro Wrestling. I'm at that verge too, where I'm about to cancel my subscription to New Japan World.
That catalog though.
I know. Well, I know. What is it? I heard. What's the Kevin Kelly? He's going back and doing commentary over some of the classic matches.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool. I gotta check some of that out because, like,
they have been holding down the fort. They have just been just cranking out just content and just a bunch of content just to
This is the recount with Kevin Kelly. Yeah,
good one.
And
then I'm here with Chris Charlton. It's good to have you with Gino Gambino. Oi, mate.
Here in 1975. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I gotta check it out though. It does sound exciting, but like I said, at the same time, I am at that point where I'm like, do I cancel my New Japan Pro Wrestling or my New Japan World subscription? So,
I'm honestly on the verge of canceling my WWE Network subscription.
Oh, I canceled that one.
But listen, I know
music someone else's.
There's a pay-per-view this Sunday.
Oh, there's other means. We'll have some sort of review coming up out of that. So stay tuned. I don't really want to talk about it though.
I'm looking forward to that main event.
Okay.
That is just mostly because of the curiosity factor. This is exactly, the Boneyard match in the House of Horrors, and then now this is the level of creativity I want out of WWE. I always said that when their backs are against the wall, WWE is at their quote unquote best. And
right.
So, limitation. That's just creativity in general. Limitations fuel it even further.
Yeah.
And so, they got it both going on at the same time,
which is strange. But you're going to see some awkward team ups. You're going to see a lot of women hitting.
It's going to be like Supermarket Sweep, where they just have 30 20 different camera crews just following him and just running around. They can do it. They have the willpower. It's just going to look exactly like that Super Bowl commercial.
Who's in the Money in the Bank?
You know what? You want to just do a mini
Well,
prediction addiction.
I just want to talk about that match.
Yeah, no, we could just talk about that match. I'm looking it up right now.
What's the WWE title match?
You know that tagline, right?
What? Oh, money.
No, the tagline is that's the theme song, Corey. The tagline is "The risk is worth the reward."
Well, I mean, COVID-19.
Okay, so the Money in the Bank ladder match for a world championship contract: Daniel Bryan versus Rey Mysterio versus Aleister Black versus King Corbin versus Otis versus the newly resurrected AJ Styles. That's
AJ Styles.
That's not a bad lineup. You got some high flyers there. You got some people who can craft a pretty good match. You got King
Daniel
Corbin
Bryan,
who can just be there. Huh?
Daniel Bryan and AJ Styles in one match. That's going to be interesting to see.
On paper. And I mean, you know how I feel about AJ Styles. Anything that he's on is good in concept. I was going to say theory, but that's Austin Theory's gimmick. For the women, for Money in the Bank, the men's Money in the Bank ladder match, I don't see Corbin winning that. I don't see Otis winning that.
AJ's winning.
Yeah, I can see AJ.
AJ's winning.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the only possible person I could see.
Because he's
a heel. Drew McIntyre, I might use this to cash in on you, but I don't know when I will. So hold on. I don't have my goons with me anymore.
He opens the ladder. I mean, he opens up the briefcase, and it's his hand. It's the dummy hand that they used for the Boneyard match.
Oh no! In here.
Oh no! He sounds like the dude from Family, the gay guy from Family Guy. Oh no!
I AJ Styles does sound like that when he sees like a spider or a snake in his house in Georgia.
I mean,
oh no!
He is big with the gay community,
He's big in the gay community.
The gay community. Okay, women's Money in the Bank ladder match: Asuka, Shayna Baszler, Nia Jax, Dana Brooke, Lacey Evans, Carmella. So Nia Jax recently recovering from double knee surgery, so I don't think she's climbing ladders anytime soon.
No, she's gonna walk up 10 stories to get up there. I mean,
no, she said she'll take the elevator.
I'll take the elevator. Okay, cool.
They can easily, do a really bad joke involving her in an elevator.
Well, the elevator's gonna get stuck, right?
I mean, the elevator's gonna, yeah. I mean, that's exactly the type of low common denominator joke that WWE would probably go for in terms of Nia Jax.
Yeah.
But she's a heel. We can do that.
Yeah.
Asuka, Shayna Baszler, Nia Jax, Dana Brooke, Lacey Evans, Carmella. You make an argument for Lacey Evans. You make an argument for Asuka. You definitely make an argument for Shayna Baszler, even though that's kind of not her character. You're like, she wants to do something. I'll do it the traditional way, just like my '69 Camaro.
You know what?
What?
You know what? Dad, I don't care anymore.
Lacey Evans. I'll say Lacey Evans.
No, Shayna's winning it, dude. Oh, fucking call.
Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
And nobody else cares about the other matches. Drew McIntyre, Seth Rollins will probably be all right.
I hope Shayna and Otis work together for their love of working on cars, because he's blue collar solid. So you think he's worked on a car or two.
You think though?
And she loves her working on cars with her dad, Triple H.
I think the longer this whole performance center phase goes on, the more likely they'll just say fuck it with the brand split, because their ratings are terrible. I mean, they might as well just meld it together and just. I know it's going to create further confusion, but who fucking cares?
I mean, I've heard something to that extent. That just people kind of talking about it.
Nobody's drawing. That's the thing. Like, of that main roster, the ratings have just been consistently terrible across the board. Like,
the thing is, you have 2 shows or 3 shows, or you can have the same people on every single show.
But I think, what would compel a dissolving of the brand extension? First off, they could say in unprecedented times and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But it would also create a more synergistic energy between those 2 shows. Like, you could have storylines extend to each other, creating a bigger incentive to tune into SmackDown because of something that happened on Raw, and vice versa.
Think you just don't like Tamina.
What did I didn't say anything about Tamina.
No, I just think about it, and it's just like because some of the I'm not saying you. I was joking, but I did say it, but I was joking. in general, a lot of these matches that things are getting booked and all these matches that are getting booked are just lackluster on some of these shows. You know, or you see the same matches over and over and over again.
But it's also, and you can attribute that to the fact that there's no fucking fans. And we'll get to the AEW show review eventually, but I think that's just a lesson of how just to living up your shows. Yeah. That and the, you know, my suggestion of just dissolving the brand extension and just, you know,
we'll see what
spill onto each other a bit more. They're gonna have to do something. Like these, they're dangerous. These ratings are like they've done worse than Christmas numbers at this point, and that's
every week new records set. They're record breaking over here at WWE.
Unprecedented times.
Yeah.
Speaking of ratings, Dark Side of the Ring.
We'll get to that last thing. We usually talk Dark Side of the Ring last. A&E apparently and WWE Studios are partnering together for
yes, Arts and Entertainment Channel.
There's a few things I want to talk about with new products coming out with WWE. A&E and WWE Studios partnering together for a new series focused on WWE memorabilia. It was announced, I believe yesterday, that A&E Network has greenlit a series, and if you don't know what greenlit means, go watch the series Hollywood on Netflix. It is very good. A series working on the quest for some lost WWE treasures. It will be hosted by, do you want to guess who it's hosted by?
Not Zack Ryder, even though he'd be perfect for this.
Hey, woo, bro. No, these two up-and-comers in the company. Paul Triple H Levesque and Stephanie McMahon.
They're hosting this?
Yes. It'll be hosted by Stephanie McMahon and Triple H.
That's weird.
And we'll take viewers on the ultimate hunt to find some of WWE's most iconic and lost memorabilia, like my sledgehammer from '98. Where'd it go?
For some reason, like you're reading this pitch, and I have like a strong Legends of the Hidden Temple vibe. Like who's gonna be the Olmec? The Andre the Giant statue that just like talks.
No, it's gonna be. I hope it's gonna be like Indiana Jones, but with Triple H.
Exactly, like the head Legends of the Hidden Temple, just straight up
snakes. They're not great.
Word on the quest to find the SmackDown fist.
Well, that's in the.
It's in some warehouse. Fun fact about that fist: it's in quarters.
Yes, it's very heavy.
Yeah.
Here's a description of the A&E series. In each episode, WWE's Stephanie McMahon and Paul Triple H Levesque will lead a team of collectors, WWE superstars, and legends as they investigate, negotiate, bid, and travel across the country to hunt down and reclaim some of the most elusive WWE collectibles.
Now, the more you read that pitch, the more I get a real American Pickers vibe.
It's
where they just
meets what's that, Storage Wars?
Yeah.
Yep. $10 for that. 10 for that. Thanks.
God, is Storage Wars still on?
I don't know. But yeah, that's going to be something to watch if we're still.
Hey, it's a concept. It's interesting. I'll say that.
I think it'll do well because it's not wrestling. It's just wrestling based. So I think people will still watch it, even if.
Yeah, but you'll get you get Triple H and Stephanie being fake as hell over it, and I just don't want that.
The people that don't watch wrestling don't give a shit about that. That's what I'm saying. And you have people,
I remember Triple H and Stephanie. They were that couple. They were McMahon Helmsley.
Or you have people. I mean, I've met a lot of women that just watch Total Divas, and they're like, "Oh, I mean, I don't watch wrestling, but I watch Total Divas."
That's
men too. You
can't hammer the fact enough how much mainstream. Like I feel like the Bella Twins are the most mainstream,
right?
Popular, like WWE related personalities in a very long time. That and John Cena, which, hey, go figure.
Hey, well, you know what? It's whoever draws mainstream attention is going to get the most push. So,
isn't A&E?
A&E, yes, A&E channel, whatever it is. Check your local listings.
I'll check it out.
Yeah,
I'm surprised they got like a TV deal. You would think this is a network thing, but that goes to show their lack of faith on the network.
Yeah.
As it's evolving, because like this, like 3 years ago, this definitely would be something they would just plop on the network, and now it's just a documentary farm and an interview and a podcast farm. Which, hey, it's not bad, but it's not. Well, it doesn't justify $10.
They also have Camp WWE.
Oh, let's not forget Camp WWE.
Also, before we get into our last piece of news, the Revolt, they were on Talk is Jericho, another podcast. Friend of the show, Chris Jericho. I'm kidding. The Revolt discusses their final.
You don't know that. What if he's listening right now? No, go ahead.
That'd be awesome. I would be.
Oh yeah, no, I'd be into that. He's into.
They were on Talk is Jericho. If you don't know, the Revolt is the new name for the Revival, former WWE Tag Team Superstars, formerly known as Dash Wilder and Scott Dawson, now referred to as, like I said, the Revolt. They are Cash Wheeler and Dax Harwood.
Yeah, that's those are names.
Those are names.
Those are definitely names.
Dash and Dawson.
You know, this. I'll just say this: the John Moxley, and I don't think anything can top that. But the John Moxley interview, it was not. But what it was, well, first off, it hammers the point of Talk is Jericho being your WWE exit interview for the foreseeable future.
We got to get that deal, man.
I mean, yeah, you'd have to pay them. You think they get paid for Talk is Jericho? No, they're buds.
No.
But
especially since Talk is Jericho is free.
That's true. I mean, Omaha steaks, bro. Like that pays for everything.
They're juicy steaks that you. No, I don't even know. They're probably shitty steaks, actually.
We don't know.
I mean, so
Omaha Steaks, if you're listening, give us a shout out.
Examples. I mean, shit.
So it's what I got out of this. The main takeaways from this podcast was pretty much how much Dusty Rhodes supported them throughout their entire careers, which is if. Of course, that being the Elite episode pretty much confirms that those guys are heading over there. But then, like, you could tell these were Dusty's guys. You know, he believed in them 100%, and as a tag team, and as together, and that you could tell that was a philosophy that just stuck with Wheeler and Hardwood throughout their entire careers, and so. And they insisted, and another point, like they insisted of being a unit. They didn't want to break off. Whatever they demanded, they wanted it in service of the tag team division, not just them, the entire tag team division.
Absolutely.
And so, they also mentioned the costumes that were recently leaked. Not only did they confirm that was real, that they also confirmed that they were willing to go with it, but they are also confirming that they also thought it was terrible, but they were willing to go with it.
They said they were, they're professionals, so they'll do their job.
But also, it's very clear if they went with it and really hammer the fact that it's terrible. That would go. It's actually genius of them to want to do this because it would garner sympathy for them because the audience who truly care about the Revival knows that, like, oh, this is just another example of them wasting their Revival. If they went somewhere else, they would be fucking megastars. Like, but WWE's got to be WWE. So
no, and I heard that they tried to file some trademarks for some of the stuff, but WWE's trying to stop it. They didn't mention that on the podcast, but
it's because there could be legal issues. But also another thing to take away: they turned down high six-figure salaries.
It was a lot of money, he says.
It was more than $750,000, which, hey man, again, AEW, it kind of just separates the type of performer, that type of person that you are as a wrestler. Do you want to be WWE, make some money, or do you want to be an AEW and be creative?
Yeah, it definitely, to me, it
not to say there's no creativity in WWE, but I mean,
yeah. To me, it definitely. God, I forgot what I was gonna say. Damn it! Oh well.
All right.
It'll be good. No, it's good. AEW probably is where they're going, and they'll
it's pretty good. I would recommend listening to it. They're very, very well spoken.
I could see them joining up with Lance Archer actually and Jake the Snake.
Especially they could, but then that would be a pretty good roster. I mean, not roster, stable.
Yeah, would be.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. Or they could just be their own thing. I mean, they went over like the people who they would work with. They said the Briscoes. They said pretty much anybody but the Bucks. But it's gonna be the Bucks.
Yeah. No, they will.
I thought they were gonna premiere tonight's episode.
Girls Destiny.
Last night's episode.
Bucks. Yeah. They mentioned a whole lot of tag teams that they want to work with.
They might, honestly, they might get that AEW New Japan contract.
Yeah, I would like to see them like SCU or something. They didn't mention that, but it'd be fun, And our final piece of news.
Well, I mean, you wanted. I mean, there was also another podcast. Tony Khan. He was on AEW Unleashed. Pretty much says everybody tests negative. We're all fine here.
We don't have coronavirus here.
No, did you listen to it?
No.
It was pretty much like one of those media scrums that he usually does after pay-per-views, but in the form of a podcast with Aubrey and Tony Schiavone.
Oh, sorry.
I mean, like, just by way of just efficiency, I can just bring it up in the Dynamite review. But what's the other note?
Well, I was going to talk about Dark Side of the Ring at that point. Our last.
Oh, yes, I know you told me.
I didn't watch it. You did this week. Tell me what you thought.
It was cocaine and cowboy boots, and boy howdy, was it more apropos to name it that, because I came into this not knowing a single goddamn thing about Herb Abrams and the UWF, and I came off of it like completely fascinated. This story it's Herb Abrams is he is pretty much the biggest, like, it's the amount of parallels that I saw with AEW to UWF, just a guy with money being a really big fan of wrestling, starting up a wrestling promotion, him pretty much just being a gigantic money mark, which, say what you will about Tony Khan, but that's how I see him sometimes. And he'll say it himself. He'll admit it himself also. But boy, it's the stories they show. They describe, like, him pretty much just being fueled by cocaine. A story about, like, the story. He pretty much, there was this one event where he runs MGM Grand, which is another comparison to why I thought the comparisons were apt. Yeah. Where he goes up to Mick Foley, and Mick Foley sees the crowd, and they draw only 200, like almost like sub 500 people inside MGM Grand, and then he just says, like, he talks to Mick Foley, and Herb Abrams like, well, yeah, you want to see people who blow people's minds, and he just shows him these yellow leather boots, and Mick Foley's just like, you think your yellow boots are gonna be blowing the minds of
hell yeah, they are. People? They're yellow boots.
That's pretty much like Herb Abrams, like, and he's just
all right.
Pretty much, it's pretty much a story of a guy snorting away an entire wrestling promotion, and he had a shot because, like, the amount of people that he brought in, he brought Jimmy Snuka, he brought Bruno Sammartino, he brought Andre the Giant. Even though Andre the Giant went to WWF like a week later, like, this guy he definitely had his chances, and he started away.
No, I did not watch the show, like I said, but even though not watching the show, I did notice that online they came out and said, while slightly down this last week, this has drawn the third highest rating in the show's history.
And this is a pretty esoteric subject. I mean, I didn't know I wasn't too familiar with what this was, and the fact that it's his third highest, like, it's educating a good amount of people. Or maybe that amount of people kind of just have that nostalgia. Like, oh, they're talking about this era of wrestling, and they're talking about this era of wrestling.
Dave Schultz episode comes in right before Herb Abrams, which was last week, even though ratings were down, which is anyways. But yeah, third highest rating. So
next week,
I guess
the Road Warriors. That's probably going to be a very, very high number. It's most likely going to do higher than this week. But I'll say that.
And then I think the last one is Owen Hart. So
yeah,
that'll be. Did you?
That might actually. I'm willing to bet that might be the highest.
Did you watch that live, Owen Hart? We'll talk about more when we get into
Scribble Vision.
Jesus Christ! I remember watching that live every second of it.
Scribble Vision.
That was. I mean,
it was a B level. We only got big fours in this house. We were a big four household.
My dad's name was Dennis, but you could have called him a Mark.
You bought everything.
Yeah, we bought everything.
We'd have WCW and WWF.
He was all WCW. I was a WWF guy, and he wanted to hang out with me. So
smart man.
He would order the WWF for me, and
smart man.
He would order WCW for him. I remember watching like Road Wild with him and stuff. But no, yeah.
You know, they're insisting on Sturgis. Like, unsurprisingly, Sturgis is insisting on continuing.
Yeah, they are.
Like, that seems like I mean, of course you are.
That weird pro-Trump rally it turned into, didn't it?
I mean, kind of always. It was. Yeah. I don't want to cast stones on Sturgis listeners. Make your piece.
You
make your claim.
Yeah, never mind. Anyways,
comment at CWR415.
Yeah, on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. All right, let's. It's about time we hop into our weekly AEW Dynamite and NXT review. But before we get into that, guys, we're gonna take a quick break, and we'll be right back. Guys, if you like what you're listening to, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe at CWR415, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Check us out each week at SoundCloud.com/City Wrestling Radio for the B Show, where me and Michael Vergara talk about NXT and AEW Dynamite. That's SoundCloud.com/City Wrestling Radio. And we're back. Time to get, like I said, it's review time. AEW Dynamite and NXT. As every week we do, we start off Michael Vergara. We start off with AEW Dynamite.
Light the fuse, bring the boom, or
it's
how
the
that
first,
goes.
First show I watch every week too. That's just because
you just have to. Like, that's just Dynamite. And like as a personal preference, like Dynamite comes first. It gets priority
when it's on live, so
yeah.
I don't have anything to do at work, so I just watch that. Nonetheless,
cool. That's wow. Anyway, Dynamite date May 6th, 2020. That was yesterday. We get a video recap of the 2 TNT tournament matches and a brand new spiffy intro. Same song, but more explosions because Dynamite. Jim Ross, Tony Schiavone, and Excalibur are on the call, sitting right next to one another, everyone's just giving high five. Everybody's back, just sitting.
You know what? Everyone's negative.
That's true. Yes. Tony Khan, AEW Unleashed. He pretty much, like, he was on a podcast, AEW Unleashed. He was talking to Aubrey Edwards and Tony Schiavone, as they do on that show. And he made pretty much the statement of how they're approaching this whole entire COVID-19 situation. And he was being as transparent as possible about it. He said everybody's tested negative. They're doing the swabs. They thanked. You had Tony Schiavone thanking the city of, or I think it was Jim Ross thanking the city of Jacksonville for granting them open testing. And I mean, I'll say it right.
Right outside. Apparently they have an abundance of testing kits. So
yeah, and I'll just get this out of the way. Like it really goes a long way for AEW to mention COVID-19 and to mention, like, oh, we go out of our way to test, even though the ideal decision is to not run shows at all. So, I mean, that would be the responsible thing. But to really just outright just, say what the situation they have and not just turn a blind eye on the reality of it all, it goes a long way, as a viewer.
And real quick before you get into the full breakdown, I actually really enjoyed the show. It actually felt like an actual wrestling show again.
Oh,
backstage.
Yeah.
You had people around, and it felt like there was a small crowd, but it felt like there was a crowd.
Like, week after week, they have become sort of the gold standard of how to run shows of this nature. You have a lot of people just talk, like, around WWE, just talking about how stubborn they are of not emulating what AEW did, but then there's going to be a point where they have no choice but to do that, considering how much of a service it did to this Dynamite show. And I gotta say, this was an excellent Dynamite show. We got to start things off with Cody versus Joey Janela. They both get pyro treatment. We're back in Daly's place, baby. Cody gets flames and all that other good stuff. He doesn't get a mid-ramp, though. It's too bad. You know the drill, collar and elbow tie-ups. Cody attempts a Mahistral sunset cover from both on each other. I don't know why I wrote that. Riho-like pin escape from Cody. They trade chops. Cody goads Janela into striking him, brings a more aggressive side in preparation for the Archer match, as the commentators would illustrate. This goes they plunder to the outside. As we go to a commercial, walk and brawl. Janela tries to do the Muda ramp run strike, but Cody catches him with a strike himself. Cody moonsaults off the stage. Janela goes to the top before calling out Leroy in the audience, who gets a close-up. I have no idea who this man is. He's probably somebody's friend. Yeah. He's probably Pineapple Pete's friend, or
I don't know. He's Pineapple Pete's friend.
Hey, I'm Pineapple Pete's friend. Everyone's a friend of Pineapple.
Everybody is Pineapple Pete's friend.
Get a shirt on Pro Wrestling Tees. Genius.
You are the guy that sells pineapple chunks at the corner in the Mission with the tahan. What's it called? Tahine.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. People
Read the room, salesman. Elbow drop for a 2 count. They go back to the top. Reverse suplex off the top from Cody. 2 count. Cody whips out the weight belt and throws it to the crowd, in which Hikaru Shida excitedly catches it as the camera catches, like, because she's Hikaru Shida. And she does
It would be funny if after the match you would have saw Cody like go over and like take selfies with people like they do after a WWE show.
It's like, I see you every day, Cody. Don't do this. Power slam from Cody. Shades of Big Bro Goldie himself. Janela counters the disaster kick into a German. I thought looked pretty cool. Follows it with a rope-to-rope lariat. Escalera into the Cody Cutter to Janela. To another 2 count.
That's a dumb name for a move, the Cody Cutter.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but it just is.
At this point, I see Isaiah Cassidy, in this crowd, I see Isaiah Cassidy being the only person to wear a face mask, but he's not even wearing it. It's just under his chin.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's good job on you, Isaiah.
Yeah.
Another strike exchange to a point where they use closed fists. Cody uses a very slow crossroads, very tiredly, but regardless, he hits it for the pin and win. I thought this match shined in some parts. I thought it definitely could have been better, but to me, it's just
it was a bit long.
Okay. It was okay.
It was long in my opinion.
It was pretty.
I thought they could have cut about 5 minutes off of it, and it would have just had a little bit of better flow to it. But
considering how close they were to just being cut off air by the end of the show, they definitely could have trimmed it. But yeah, Cody wins against Joey Janela. He, gets that perennial momentum going into Double or Nothing. Yeah. We get a video recap.
2 weeks?
Double or Nothing is indeed. If it's not 2, it's definitely 3.
I think it's 2 weeks from Saturday.
Yeah.
Anyways.
We get a video recap of the Riho Nyla Rose match, complete with Liev Schreiber narration, as they usually do for those pay-per-view pre-shows. It's pretty much just like, hey, Nyla Rose, she's our champion. She's a monster. She's awesome. But we also get a highlight of the women's division going over the roster, showing Shida, Baker, Penelope Ford, and the rest. With Anna Jay and all those pretty ladies, women, wrestlers. Yeah. Nyla Rose with Tony. I feel like there was a part in this interview where I feel like she skipped a line because it sounded like she repeated a question that Tony never said.
Tony's like, wait, what?
It's like, do I look like blah, blah, blah? And it's like, what? And so like there was a bit of a mess up. Britt Baker delivered her most gifable moment in her career yet in response to this Nyla Rose interview. Of her just running down the entire roster, and it's Britt Baker. I'll get to Britt Baker later. Nyla Rose destroys Kenzie with a swanton bomb. Kenzie Page, who is 18 years old, this poor woman, she gets swanton bomb. Nyla delays the pinfall and gives her 3 more power bombs for the pin and win. And she continues to stare at Shida, Statlander, Baker, and Ford, and yeah, fatal 4-way next week.
Yeah. No, I mean,
what'd you think of this? What'd you think of the lone women's divisions? I wasn't the only women's.
I was glad to see. First off, I was glad to see a lot of people back.
Tony Khan said that
Nyla Rose. It's good to see her actually for a change. Sometimes her matches can be kind of clunky, and you're like, oh great, Nyla Rose. But I like her on the mic, especially
her strength is on the mic, in my opinion. I think her character work is above and beyond. Not above and beyond, but it's above and beyond what she's capable of.
Right.
What she delivers to the table. That is like the one, not the one thing, but it's one of the one things.
Definitely.
MJF video promo. He notices all the young talent coming up are all almost 30. He scoffs at the comparisons of Piper, Rock, and Flair. Says that
green screen promo, right? He was like,
yeah, it was very much a green screen promo, but it was good enough. The lighting was good enough. He says that a 24-year-old is going to take that spot and that he has more talent in his pinky than most of anyone's body. Says he can afford to miss some television, sipping on some wine, and that his spot will be where he left it because he's better than you and you know it. And that next week, that's what I was going to get to. This video promo heavily implied that he was just not going to be here anytime soon. But then the next segment, we see him gambling with Sean Spears. So
he's like, I didn't say I wasn't going to be here this week. I'm just saying next week we're going to have a match or something.
He's not going to. Yeah, he's in action next week. I think, plans change. I thought a nice touch. It's a small one, but I really did like it. It was that as he was as he was just about to say his catchphrase, you hear his theme song slowly fade into the background, and I thought that was a good way to establish who he is.
Yeah.
We get Sean Spears being frustrated. This is another video promo, actually. And he pretty much tells Cody failed in protecting his brother last week, mentioning his brother who's 11 years younger than him. And yeah, pretty much it. Sean Spears, Cody. They're still sprinkling the rivalry between those two.
Dustin I think might end up being Sean Spears' partner. In the long run, put a wedge between the two brothers. And then they've been looking for a partner for the longest time. And maybe Cody teams up with QT Marshall eventually.
But do you want Dustin to be a tag team wrestler?
That's what Dustin's been doing, though.
I mean, he can do
tagging
that. He can be in tag team wrestling. He's always
tagging with QT Marshall. So
come on now. But yeah, we mentioned earlier MJF and Sean Spears are with Tony, who are still gambling. They're betting on matches. MJF asks Tony to practice social distancing, but still wants him to bring the mic. MJF calls Sean brave, and they both praise each other. Sean asks if MJF is 100%. MJF responds that he overhealed, and they just laugh. Then Tony breaks the news that MJF is facing Jungle Boy at Double or Nothing, in which MJF does hilarious spit take. Interesting. What do you think of this matchup between MJF and Jungle Boy?
It'll be fun. I mean, yeah, it'll be fun. I haven't seen them wrestle before, and like I said, Jungle Boy's another, local wrestler, or he was a local wrestler here in Northern California, in Southern California. So I've seen him a lot, and it's be great to see him wrestle MJF. He's gonna lose to MJF probably, but due to shady tactics, of course.
I found out by the end of this next segment, but I was under the assumption that MJF was going to be MJF and Moxley were going to be in Double or Nothing. No. You see those you see the rankings. There's not enough to justify it, but I thought, MJF is going to have the mic. Moxley's not doing anything. They got to ramp up this pay-per-view. Yeah. It just seemed kind of natural. And then, when MJF did that spit take, I kind of did that spit take. It's a pretty random.
Out of action. He's been out of action for a few weeks.
Or MJF.
Well, both of them actually. So why would MJF come back and just automatically feud with?
Now, was that a worked injury or a shoot injury?
I think because I just think he was social distancing.
Well, when you say out of action, you mean social distancing.
There, yeah.
But they got Lucha. But then they got Lucha Express
next week, I think, right?
No, not Lucha Express. Jurassic Express. Up in Daly's place, so they're pretty much there. So
yeah. Well, everyone, MJF was here this week too, so
I'm sure. I'm confident it'll be a great match. It's a bit random. Still, it just seemed like Tony Khan just straight up, hey, Jungle Boy, MJF, two young guys.
Matches are being thrown together, and we'll get into that.
Some are, some aren't. I mean,
we'll get into
it in the next segment. Frankie Kazarian versus AEW champion John Moxley.
Kazarian with hair.
With hair. He's all quarantining up. He's quarantining up. SCU is no longer a stable full of bald dudes because Frankie Kazarian got that thing.
Oh, I hope they all grow out long, luxurious hair now.
I don't think Christopher Daniels is able to, and I don't think Scorpio Sky is able to.
Well, he could.
They might get Cesaro.
Grow it out, and then you can use a flat iron or something to make it flat like that. I don't know.
Yeah, he looks like Hank Hill.
Kazarian with hair, yeah.
Yeah, because he just has that square face.
Who's messing with my damn propane?
They sell, yeah. It's since Justin Roberts isn't ring announcing, it's Dasha, and she doesn't do the Gian Moxley treatment, which is fair. Which is fair because that's Justin's thing.
She ain't got the cords for it.
Dasha is doing Titan Games, the Rock's show.
Is that a WWE thing?
Nope. It's $7 production.
It sounds like I know it sounds like a WWE thing with Titan.
I mean, it's on NBC, which NBC you can make that connection, but no, this is
Titan Games. Titantron. They look.
No, this is purely a Rock project, and the fact that they got an AEW. I mean, again, you can. I know it's a pipe dream for a lot of people. Like, oh, an AEW person is involved with a Rock thing. Interesting, but it's it is what it is.
No question. Sorry.
Okay. Headlocks from Kaz, test the strength spots. They trade chops. Bit of a lengthy headlock hold from Kaz. Kaz chops Mox, in which Mox asks for more. Moxley dumps Kaz into the ramp, and you see Kaz sell the knee. Picture in picture, they brawl on the ramp. MJF fucks with Kaz some more as we see another depressing COVID commercial beside this picture in picture, which I thought was it's pretty funny. It's not funny, but it was, what do you call it? Took me out of it. Yeah. They go back to the ring, brawl some more. They drop kick each other. Kaz tries to control Mox's arm and leg. Mox breaks free. Mox attempts a mid-rope spear. Kaz counters with a leg drop. Kaz tries to pin Mox by surprise. One of them as a Mahistral, but settles for a suplex to the ropes. Kaz goes to the top of Mox, gets up and attempts a half Nelson. Get Kaz to run to the corner, attempts a roll up, but gets Kaz to walk into a paradigm shift for the pin and a win. I wrote it down, these notes, meat and potatoes. I thought this was a match between two guys who just knew what the fuck they were doing. They knew how to structure a match. They knew that all their movement was fluid enough. And yeah, this is just two professionals being professionals. They're both faces, so that probably played a part on the dynamics of the match. I really like this match a lot.
Yeah. It was a decent match. A lot of people were saying it was a good match too. So, I mean, I can't say much about it besides that. So.
Yeah. But immediately, as Moxley celebrates the win, he gets attacked by the Dark Order, led by number 10, formerly known as Vanilla Preston Vance.
You know, the only thing I was mad about is that when all the creepers were attacking Moxley, is the fact they go, how many are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I was going to hope they were going to say, and there's number 10.
Oh, yeah, there's 7 of them, but there's 10. So, I mean, Reynolds and Silver, and then you could probably get Grayson or Uno,
and whoever else.
That rounds it out.
Yeah, whoever else.
Yeah. So immediately Moxley gets attacked by Dark Order. 10 does a spine buster on Scorpio Sky as Jim Ross wonders why isn't anyone stopping this, because everyone in attendance is a wrestler and they can stop it, but like there are reasons why
they're heels.
Yeah. Exalted One Brody Lee hits Daniels with a chair as he walks to the ramp. I thought looked pretty sinister. I thought it looked great. And he gives a boot to Moxley. Lee gets a microphone, says he's here to answer the bounty Moxley put up for himself. Says no one's here to save him and that this is the energy he feels now. Excuse me. He brings up their past and how much he's changed. He says he is the unfortunate one should that Lee wants and desire and need. I don't know what the fuck I wrote there. Says Evil Uno thinks Mox is a reasonable man and that he calls him a crown jewel of pro wrestling, phrasing. Doesn't know if Moxley is an MMA fighter or a movie star, which, you know, is kind of a reference to the fact that John Moxley plays an MMA fighter in an upcoming movie that's exclusively on Fight TV. Yeah. That Christian's in for some reason. He calls him a fatherless boy from Cincinnati. And yeah, Moxley responds saying all he needed to do was ask, and Lee kicks his face again as Dark Order goons beat on him. Yeah. Another pay-per-view, possibly main evented by two ex-WWE guys. What do you think of this matchup between Brody Lee
it's happening
and
way fucking soon.
Moxley?
Way too soon.
You think it's too soon?
Yeah, dude. How are you going to build Mr. Brody Lee by feeding him to John Moxley? And that's essentially what you're doing. You're feeding him to the champion. Mox isn't going to lose pretty much his third title defense. He's not losing that title right now. And the fact that they're feeding somebody new to him is just, it doesn't make any sense to me.
To me, I just feel like it's a stopgap feud for Moxley. I think this is
but why?
No, but then they're just chalking this up to creative having nothing for Brody Lee. I mean, hey, that's how I see it. They want to do something with Brody Lee. They want to have, bar none, I think this is the most important match of Brody Lee's career, and I have zero doubt in my mind that he'll give it 110%.
Yeah, definitely.
Moxley definitely needs to win this, but there are listen, fucked finishes are a thing for a reason, you know? Like, if you want to go that route, you can go that route. I mean, we'll get there with fuck finishes throughout this week, but it's an interesting matchup because these are two guys you don't necessarily want to see get beat, and inherently speaking, that makes it all the more kind of intriguing.
Let's move on. What happened next?
Brandy Rhodes video promo. She responds to Jake Roberts' investments. Said that weird. Says she studied and predicted what's going to happen and all the tropes and her being the damsel in distress. She is not Monica to Cody's Bill. It's not 1991 anymore, which
That's a weird thing to say.
That was a weird thing to say. Amongst the many weird things involving Brandy Rhodes and Jake. Says she'll hit back and that her husband is the good guy and that her mother told her not to fuck with people you don't know. She's not Cleopatra. She's Brandy Rhodes, chief brand officer of AEW, and that he will take her name out of, and it asks that he will take her name out of his dirty old mouth. I thought this was feisty. What'd you think?
It was Brandy Rhodes. She's getting involved in another storyline. And yeah.
I mean, do you not want her to get involved in a storyline? She's Cody's wife.
Yeah. You don't have to involve everybody's wife in a storyline.
But I think Brandy Rhodes is entertaining enough character to get involved. I think she
I don't know, man.
You don't like Brandy Rhodes?
I did at one point, and I do as a person. She seems
I like where she is now. The Nightmare Collective was definitely just something that they thankfully have a level of self-awareness about, and they made an adjustment, and she is where she is, and personally I think I like what she's doing.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, QT Marshall with Brandy Rhodes versus Lance Archer. Archer kills Jason Cade, entrance victim of the week. And then we see Jake the Snake Roberts at ringside, distinctively distant, half mask, just scowling at whoever Lance Archer is facing, which is QT Marshall and Brandy Rhodes. And yeah, Jake the Snake Roberts. They flew in Jake the Snake Roberts. I mean, they flew in Jim Ross. They flew in Jake the Snake Roberts. There's no way of sugarcoating this.
Old people are there.
I mean, he was there for a reason. They both have their reasons why they're there.
Yeah, for sure.
Still doesn't make it irresponsible. Archer runs into him repeatedly, chokeslam onto the apron. We get a commercial break. Surprised it says it has lasted this long. Britt Baker was about to hit Marshall with her shoe, but Brandy takes Britt's shoe and throws it across the arena, which I thought, man, she's got a great arm. Marshall gets Inoki comparisons with an Enziguri, which I think they were saying it tongue in cheek. In fact, he gets a lot of hope spots, surprisingly so. Blackout, but he gets a blackout, delays the pin. Archer bashes Marshall's head onto the mat some more, just like he did to Dustin last week, and pins him into the claw hold as Jake looks on for the squash match victory. Britt gives Brandy a DDT, which nice touch there, and is taken by Archer for Jake to get out. Goddamn Damien making his Dynamite debut on a dead Brandy. He slithers Damien all across her unconscious body, and then he proceeds to straight up just borderline missionary style air humps Brandy onto the mat. It's not a good look. Like, I wasn't as offended as most people were about it. It was definitely very suggestive.
Yeah, he looked like he was fucking her.
Yeah, the devs definitely looked like it was very lewd, and this is the direction they're taking it. Yeah. I have no doubt in my mind Brandy was probably cool with it. She probably wasn't cool with the fact that there was a snake on top of her.
The only thing I gotta say,
listen, she took it. She was a really good sport about it. You could I would freak the fuck out if I was in that spot.
I mean, everyone's got their own thing, but snake doesn't bother me. The only thing that pissed me off about this was the fact that Jake stepped on the snake at one point.
Oh yeah, I mean,
and he just
you would hope that
Jesus Christ, give better care to that snake.
I mean,
AEW does not have a good track record with animals, man. I will say that.
Yeah, that's
with Pharaoh and now Damien.
The horse, Hangman Adam Page's. Actually, that was handled quite well. Actually, well, just like Adam Page, we miss you.
Let's move on.
Yeah, one really good touch about this is that as this was happening, I think 5 minutes before it happened, Cody Rhodes tweeted out that he's heading into the showers. So that explains why. And they also explained that the locker room area is very, very far away from the arena itself.
Yeah.
Which is a good touch. Before commercial break, Jake threatens to throw Damien onto the face side of the audience, and you can hear like a really high-pitched scream. Like, ah! And I'm just assuming it's Mark Quinn of Private Party because it's Mark Quinn. We run down what we got for Double or Nothing so far. Cody versus Archer, TNT Tournament Finals. MJF versus Jungle Boy. Moxley versus Archer. And a number one contender ladder match for the AEW World Championship. So,
how many people?
See. They haven't announced that.
All right.
And, quick, 5 seconds. Who do you think wins? 1, 2,
Lance
3.
Archer.
He's probably going to win the TNT title.
He might not.
All right. We get a convenient. We then get. Well, I say conveniently because he's my pick to probably win that ladder match. Darby Allin interviews with Taz, in which Taz reminds him about the time he lost to Cody
a little
Rhodes.
bit. Yeah. I can give you some pointers if you want, Darby. No, I don't know. Okay, bye.
That's a really good Taz impersonation. Yeah. Allin rightfully walks away annoyed because I would be.
Yeah.
Main event time. Les Sex Gods, Chris Jericho and Sammy Guevara.
That was great. I love that they named themselves that.
Of course. It's just another tacky, bad thing that Jericho does that makes it very tongue-in-cheek and you fucking love all the way. Versus Kenny Omega and making his Dynamite in-ring debut, Matt Hardy. Jericho immediately brawls against Pineapple Pete after weeks of derision. I love that that's just his name now. And then off the bat,
Pete, went after him. He swung at him.
Well, no, Jericho, he straight up just goes straight to Pineapple Pete and talks shit in front of him, and then Pineapple Pete strikes first. Tony and JR acknowledge the passing of former WCW announcer Joe Pendicino. Rest in peace. Kenny Omega enters with an AEW Revolution shirt that you can interpret in many ways. He's also wearing jeans because I just realized that this was a street fight. No disqualifications. Anything goes.
Oh, it's Sammy Guevara, so they were pretty much dressed alike.
Yeah. Hardy instantly bites the hand of Sammy Guevara, in which JR says, "Unsanctioned teeth." Thanks, JR. Tony announces that Jericho is facing Pineapple Pete next week.
That kind of
more to that a lot. Poetry in motion to Sammy. Omega in street clothes weirds me out, which I wrote down on these notes. You can't escape to Sammy, but gets the knees up. Jericho slams Hardy onto the entrance tunnel. JR calls the referee useless, but Tony says Bryce Ramsberg's only purpose is to count to 3, call the submission, or end the match as he pleases. Sex Gods pose, 2-on-1 action to Omega. Hardy comes back with a wardrobe change straight out of 2001. Twist of fate on Jericho. Tony calls it a cutter. Jericho kicks out. Snapdragon on Sammy, but Omega gets hit by the baseball bat from Jericho. Shooting star press from Sammy, but Omega gets the knees up. Omega knees the back of Sammy's head. Hardy unleashes a ladder. Omega brings out a table. Omega knees Sammy again as he set on the table for the splash from Matt on the table, and I thought this was the finish. But Hager stops the pin count because there's 13 minutes left. Oh, how naive of me. Everything and everyone is spilled to the outside. Matt is bleeding. There's a Corona beer advertisement because of course there would be. Oh. Jericho uses a Jaguar's ice machine and throws ice at Matt, in which Jake and Jericho stuffs him inside of it. Omega whips out a trash can to hit both Hager and Jericho. Sammy gives the saddest can hit to Omega. It's like
they pointed it out. They were like,
because
a weak hit, but it was because he was so exhausted.
Yeah. I was about to say that. Omega slammed onto an ATM machine, in which Sammy also tries to get money out of.
Well, there was money in it.
Yeah.
Like he goes and grabs money out of I think that they wanted to seem comedic where he throws him into it and money comes flying out like in a video game.
Yeah. Oh yeah. This is what, this is, I mean, it doesn't surprise me. This is booked by people who play wrestling video games.
Yeah. Well, all video games.
Yeah. You see a dad and his kid out there, and I was just like, who the hell are these people? And
it's just people that are getting tested for COVID in the parking lot. They have to
they probably know somebody, honestly.
Friends and family, probably.
Yeah. At this point when they give it to the back, I thought there was too many people. What'd you think?
They all tested negative.
I mean, the wrestlers did.
No,
I would have honestly, I would have been a bit.
Staff. They said productions crew.
I know.
So if these people have been tested, then fuck it.
Are you telling me that dude and his kids like also? I mean, yeah, I would assume so. They would have to be.
I would assume so. Yeah.
Omega throws Hager onto a bunch of barricades, but Jericho runs a cart into him. Not a golf cart, just one of those storage carts.
Yeah.
Jericho suplexes Omega into the barrier as we get into the reference to the Jaguars, because of course we would. Jericho puts on a traffic cone as he impersonates a wicked witch of the west or east, whoever's the evil one. It's just one of those random things that Jericho does that just adds so much to the match. But he is hit by janitor slippery when wet sign. It's one of those yellow things. Damascus emerges from the ice. Matt. As Tony says, when Matt comes out in a different gear and gets a cart and runs over Jericho in the safest way possible, pretty much clips him because we're saving that spot for somebody else. Because Omega and Matt then chase Sammy down while Omega gives Sammy
is booking it down the back.
Sammy is running for his fucking life, and Omega just gives the most maniacal look as he points at Sammy like, get him. Excuse me. That's how not maniacal it is.
Some would say Damascus was controlling both of them at this point.
Yeah, he summoned the golf cart as Sammy bumps his head onto one of the roof posts of the oncoming cart and gives us what I thought Britt Baker would be the most jiffable moment of this entire Dynamite. This was the most circulated video around this entire episode. Good Lord. Sammy is the MVP of Dynamite, honestly. Like, the amount of bumps this guy has taken, Grant, like, he makes them count, but goddamn, when he does it, he really goes for it. Hardy and Omega puts Jericho onto a conveniently placed table in front of a scissor lift. Hager stops them, but Omega moonsaults everybody from the top of the scissor lift. Shades of one Kota Ibushi. You can always leave DDT, but DDT never leaves you, man. Omega is about to one-winged angel Jericho on the field, but Santana and Ortiz arrive to stop him and puts Matt Hardy through a table. Omega is powerbombed on the top of the cart.
Well, all members shield powerbomb.
Pretty much, yeah. He's powerbombed on top of the cart as all members of the inner circle sets up Omega for the Judas effect and pin and win. Inner circle celebrate as we see the TIAA Bankfield sign and
where the Jaguars play.
Where the Jaguars play, and you see the inner circle sign as we sign off.
That was badass.
It was badass to a point where I had to make that our thumbnail for this week.
Yeah.
And this match, man, it was fucking insane. You know, I feel like they went out of their way to top Best Friends versus Jimmy Havoc and Kip Sabian, which they lapped that match. And so you put this in the category of the Edge versus Randy Orton variety of match, and just oh my god, what a great Dynamite. I thought this was a
good episode. It was a good episode. Probably best one we've seen in a while. So
that was Dynamite. They're gonna be doing this for the foreseeable future. I think they're still taping in bulk, so you would see. I think next week's episode is taped.
Okay.
And then for every 2 weeks, they would tape in bulk, go for 2 weeks, and then they just, take a break, and then they come back, do another set for 2 weeks, one being live and one not being live.
Probably rotating wrestlers too, if you think.
Yeah, I would hope so. Oh, and Santana Ortiz versus Omega and Hardy next week.
Versus who is his partner this week? Because Hangman Page does not want to leave his house.
Hey, he's
social distancing.
Hangman Page is not wrong. He is not in the wrong at all. And Tony Khan has made it to a point where
hand wash Page.
Yeah, hand wash Page. They made it to a point where it won't stifle your push, even though they got people, they got manpower now. So we'll see how it goes.
Well, let's continue the show. That was AEW Dynamite. Let's continue for NXT. We kicked off things with Johnny Gargano versus Dominik Dijakovic, which is a match I totally forgot about.
New theme song for Johnny Gargano. And
a little similar to Candice LeRae's music. Not the same, but they're themed similar. Like they both have like this opera woman singing in the background of the song, but it's themed.
We'll get women singing later on in the show.
Yes, we will. This was a very strike-heavy match. Gargano starting the match by evading Dijak, sneaking in a few cheap shots here and there. Dijak with the 70-pound advantage has control early on. Gargano gets Dijak down with a couple of strikes to the back of the knee. Candice LeRae comes to the ring in full support of her husband, Johnny Gargano, because as she says, I'm legally married to that man. Dijak is distracted.
There's no arguing that, Candice.
Dijak is distracted, and Gargano dumps Dijak out of the ring. Dijak goes for a backbreaker toss combo, as he usually does. Gargano reversed into a roll-up by grabbing a handful of Dijak's tights. Luckily, Dijak got the kick out. Eventually, he tries to go for a feast your eyes. Gargano evading, getting him on his knees, hits a super kick to Dijak. LeRae now distracting the ref while Gargano is taking the turnbuckle pad off and is caught by the ref eventually, and is he gets hit with a choke slam, a sit down choke slam. Dijak goes for a powerbomb turnbuckle off the turnbuckle, and that's when Gargano pulls the turnbuckle pad off as Dijak is pulling him away. Reverses a Hurricane Rana into the turnbuckle. One final blast, which is the over rope DDT to Dijak, the pin and the win. I mean, it was a fun match. I think Dijak.
It was a good match. It's Gargano, two very talented individuals, with one Johnny Gargano being still arguably WWE's best performer, in my opinion.
And I think if this leads to a series of matches, these guys at a takeover, I mean, with a full crowd, would be fire.
So, still not. If this is what they want to do with Johnny Gargano, at least the matches that he's involved in are still good. And I know heel Johnny Gargano is still capable of great matches, even though it's not the direction I would want to take with him.
Yeah.
But it's a different time anyway, so it might as well just do this. I don't like it, but hey, at least he's doing something.
Whatever. I think it's all right. Him and Dijak are gonna have a good series of matches, so whatever. Especially since this one ended with kind of a cheat way. So
I mean, not even Daniel Bryan could be Daniel Bryan for this amount of time. So
then we get an Imperium video package. They think Riddle and Thatcher are a disgrace to the NXT tag team titles and officially challenge them to a match. Io Shirai getting psyched up for her match later tonight in her war room.
Oh, hold on, back up a little bit. Fabian Eichner, they're pretty good on the mic. They can talk. Man, granted, it's a controlled environment.
Yeah, they can talk. I mean, they're poised.
Yeah, and I see Marcel Bartel. Like, I don't know whether it was the lighting or the video, but that dude looked really cool. Him especially. Oh, I think in general, I think he's just really cool looking.
I think Imperium's got a good look in general. So, but I'll talk more about that later when we talk.
Those European dudes, they know how to style.
Akira Tozawa versus Jack Gallagher. I think all night, all the NXT Cruiserweight interim tournament matches, they're both pretty short. The pace of this match starts out fast, though. Gallagher goes right after Akira Tozawa, misses a corner drop kick, back and forth between the two. Both men out of the ring. And I don't know if it was just me, but Tozawa seemed super gassed at this point. DDT to Gallagher on.
He's not doing the That's what he's
no,
not getting that air out.
He legit looked like he was gasping for air. DDT to Gallagher on the edge of the ring, falling senton. Akira Tozawa goes up 2-0 in the series where Jack Gallagher falls 0-2. So I think that makes him officially eliminated. I think he could still spoil a victory, but he's eliminated from the tournament now.
Who?
Not eliminated, but no, Gallagher. He can't win the tournament now.
So Tozawa, he does a post-match speech, and NXT is like pretty much going out of the way for me to get behind this guy, but you see him on Raw, you see him get squashed by Jinder Mahal like that, and it just squanders any goodwill I just have for the guy, knowing how he's gay. It's honestly, it's pretty hard to separate. It's near impossible to separate the two personas of Raw and NXT to like their power levels, because they're the same fucking person. It's just It just takes me out of it every time they kind of give Tozawa a semblance of a push in this tournament because of how he's treated in the main roster. Like him getting squashed by Jinder Mahal, like pretty much put a stain on this entire tournament from the get-go. And it was just so I would be so insulted if I was booking that if I was booking that tournament. So yeah, Tozawa, he's great, but like
Well, you're seeing a company booked by two different men, so
yeah, there's no synergy between those two promotions at all whatsoever. Unconfirmed, but did you hear that Gallagher and Xia Li are a thing?
Ooh, that's cute.
Like Gallagher was married. Again, I've only heard it through the grapevine. If it's true, it's true. If it's not, it's not. But can you imagine that?
That's I mean, I don't. There it happened. It happened. I see it. Oh wow.
Huh. It's just like
They are both
Casey
married.
kind of it's pretty much like Casey Catanzaro and Ricochet, but it's kicks and not flips.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Well, speaking of Xia Li, next up we have Xia Li versus Chelsea Green.
See, they were in two segments,
Yeah.
They want to get it done.
As WWE does.
Yeah.
They usually put couples back to back. Green starts the match by throwing her wedding dress veil thing into Xia Li. The two go back and forth. Aaliyah comes out to distract Xia. Xia then gives Aaliyah a hard kick to the chest, kind of knocking her out like a sack of potatoes. Actually seemed like she made legit contact on that. The I'm Prettier to Xia Li by Chelsea Green, the pin and the win.
Did they name it something else though? I don't like.
No, the I'm Prettier.
Oh, okay. I thought you said unprettier.
No, it is the unprettier, but it's
yeah.
as much as I like Xia Li, this was a nothing match.
She's still green. Like considering how long she's been working for that company, like she's kind of treading water. And maybe it's the quality of opponents, but she kind of like I said, she's kind of treading water in terms of her skill level. And I feel like they need to do something that will advance her as a performer in general, not just giving her the likes of, no disrespect to Chelsea Green or Aaliyah or Vanessa Bourne, just like they just keep on giving her this level of opponent. Like I kind of want to see her with Io Shirai. She can lose to Io Shirai. In fact, she should lose to Io Shirai because Io Shirai should never lose. Mm-hmm. And
Yeah, I mean, like I said, she's great. I mean, she's good up and comer, but
that's the thing. I'm not willing to make that assessment that Xia Li is actually good because she's treading water, and I want to see her.
She's evolved over past couple of years. She's come along quite some ways. So
yeah,
I think she's done a very, very good job of where she's come from to where she is now.
No, but my criticism is that she's been kind of the same throughout her tenure throughout WWE, and I kind of just want to see her get challenged a bit more.
Oh, I mean, she's been challenged the same, yeah, for sure, like the same type of opponent. Next up, let's see. Robert Stone offers a hand to Aaliyah after the match. Morrow hinted at a Robert Stone brand extension, but I don't think we're gonna see that. I think that was just kind of like thanks for helping out. Yeah. Next up, we have the Geico NXT Superstar Facts. They have the Superstar.
Give it to me, man.
Adam Cole became the first ever North American champion when he defeated 5 other superstars in a ladder match at NXT TakeOver New Orleans. Michael, can you name the 5 superstars that were in that match?
Well, yes, I do, Corey. It's Lars Sullivan,
Yes.
Ricochet,
2,
EC3,
3, EC3, yes.
Velveteen Dream.
Yes, 4. You have one more. It was
Adam Cole. No, not Adam Cole is the winner.
One more.
Not Buddy Murphy, not Chad Gable. Do you know?
I looked it up.
Okay, who?
Killian Dane.
Okay. 5 stars, by the way. 5 stars, Lars.
But since we have the Geico NXT Superstar Facts, I'm going to give you the Corey NXT Superstar Facts.
Boy.
Chris Hero wrestled Keith Lee in his second to last indie match at Evolve 76. Is
it indie? Is Evolve indie?
Back at this time, yes, it was.
Okay.
It was my first indie show where the match where both top 2 ropes snapped and broke, and they still continued the match. So,
just like Sean and Brett.
So next up, we have the debut of Karrion Kross in NXT, and oh my God, this entrance was like an indie horror film come to life. So it was really cool. He comes out. There's lights. It's like a WrestleMania fucking entrance.
It was, yeah.
There's smoke. And then all of a sudden you hear a woman singing, and Scarlett is lip singing the song the entire way down, which I hated.
It was not good. I was not a fan of this entrance, actually. It was an exercise of overabundance. I thought this was just super fucking extra. It's just, and I know like they do have a good amount of variety within their gimmicks of NXT. You got Velveteen Dream, you got Dexter Loomis, you got characters, but then they made Karrion Kross just another heavy metal monster type of person. Like I see this with Damian Priest. I saw this with Aleister Black. You kind of see it with Shayna Baszler, which is kind of reaching, I know, but
Rhea Ripley.
You got Rhea Ripley. Like this just kind of screamed Triple H.
Yeah, it's Triple H guy. You can pick out all the Triple H people.
And like it didn't used to be that way. And like I don't know. NXT just seems kind of different lately.
But no, he has his debut squash match. It's against a guy named was it Leon Ruff?
The way they introduced Leon Ruff was the funniest way possible because he's not in the ring, but then you get a close up of Karrion Kross, and then you just cut to a fucking wide shot of just, and he's just standing there. And what I would have preferred was just a close up of scared Leon Ruff. And yeah, they kill him. Saito suplex, rear naked choke. Ah!
Yeah. So that's the debut of Karrion Kross and Scarlett.
Karrion Kross.
Next backstage we have
Carry on
the Cross. Mackenzie asking Riddle's answers to Imperium. Riddle says it's not up to him, it's up to Thatcher. Thatcher says, you knock him out, I'll tap him out.
Showing all three of his teeth.
I think Thatcher's joining Imperium. I don't know why, but isn't okay. So it wasn't.
I don't know, man.
Ring Conf. This is
but then he was
he was in Ring Conf.
But then he was also in Catch Point.
So with Riddle.
With Riddle and Gulak, and
Yeah, I don't know. I just think you really have. Well, you don't have Catch Point. You have a Imperium, which is based off Ring Conf. I don't know.
I see a lot in Timothy Thatcher. I like him. Him.
Can win the titles, and they can actually defend the titles because they're both there. You can have Riddle go off and do a one-on-one with Thatcher at that point.
I don't know. I think Timothy Thatcher's in the same class of just dudes who can wrestle. Same with Bryan and Gulak. They got a good concentration of dudes like that in WWE that surprisingly they're using them properly. Maybe because they just have no choice but to do that. But like I see a lot in Timothy Thatcher, which unsurprisingly because when he garnered a lot of buzz when he got signed. And he is somebody that I should really just kind of brush up my homework on. Maybe that's going to be my assignment this week.
And he was at that show with Keith Lee and Chris Hero that I went to, my first indie show. So,
how was he? He's good.
Yeah, memorable. Io Shirai versus Charlotte Flair for the NXT Women's Championship. This is a good match until the finisher.
I thought this was bordering on match of the week territory. I thought with little time they had with one another, they showed great chemistry. They're both high flyers in their own category. The Frankensteiner from the top looked like I don't want to say incredible, but it was textbook. It was just one of those things that these are just two women who were completely confident in how they moved and how they moved with each other. There was a little bit of hiccups along the way. Like there was a spot where Shirai ran. It was Charlotte who tripped on the the corner. And
yeah, exactly. It was back and forth between the two. Frankensteiner onto Charlotte off the top rope. Missed moonsault spot by Charlotte. Tiger kick, which is a 619, followed by a double knees in the corner to Charlotte. Io misses a moonsault to the outside, and then Charlotte just strikes Io with a kendo stick. So I mean, like I said, it was a good match. And then all of a sudden, just a fucked finish. So
it was a finish where you can't stop but think about the finish because the match was getting really good, and I have no doubt in my mind they'll run it back. But it's such a turnoff. It's such a turnoff when you do that on a show. Like, yeah, you're gonna get your views on paper, but then when that happens, probably the rest of the show suffers after that, or just I didn't like it at all.
Yeah, she's continuing to beat down on Io Shirai. Out comes Rhea Ripley for the save. Rhea Ripley hits a front face buster to Charlotte on the edge of the ring, which at a moment there I thought Charlotte kind of knocked a tooth out because she was reacting kind of weird to it.
Just spit. It's almost spit.
No, I didn't see a spit. She legit like grabbed her tooth and looked like she was checking inside her mouth for a second. That's all. As Rhea though is leaving, Io is pissed because her match has got a fucked finish, and
I would be too.
Shut up, Io, shut up. That's not an
I
Australian.
would be too. It's
Yeah.
one of those angers where you're not just mad at the person who did it. You're mad at everybody around you.
Backstage, Mackenzie interviews Rhea. Io interrupts, attacks Rhea. They fight. So after this, we have Kushida versus Jake Atlas, the former IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion versus the former APW Universal Champion. Atlas, though, comes jumping off the top rope, and Kushida hits him with an armbar out of nowhere. I mean, this is a pretty fast match. I wasn't a huge fan of this one, I'll be honest.
These could have, again, the cruiserweight tournament. It had a lot of potential, and they had a lot of time. They on paper they could have easily just filled all this time, but I think it's just the WWE philosophy, it's just like, or this certain philosophy going on in WWE where quick matches retains your audience, and I'm just like, that cannot be any further from the truth.
Yeah. After the match, Mackenzie interviews the Cushman. I believe Phantasma. He's fighting Phantasma next. No, that's who's fighting Phantasma next?
God, these matchups, they can sell.
Akira Tozawa's facing him. I don't know who Kushida's facing next, but
man, these matchups are just instant sellouts. In any other indie, man.
Oh, definitely.
Kushida versus Jake Atlas. That's a borderline dream match. Some might say it is a dream match.
So I mean, I like where this tournament's going, but it's starting to slow down. The first couple of matches were great, and now they're starting to really slow down.
Man, they really should have gotten Kyle O'Reilly into this tournament, but considering how they treat these matches,
he has asthma.
Probably. Okay.
Oh wait, no, yeah. Next up, Finn Balor. He apparently was going to come and tell us who attacked him, but doesn't. So there's that. He says, I used to think the biggest snakes in the company were in the office. Oh, I'm not so sure now. Rule number 1, you attack the guy and to get the push, the music, the smoke, the lasers. But then the bell rings and you're in the ring with the prince and there's nowhere to hide, buddy. Feller, I'm a patient man, but to anyone who have attacked me, the push you're expecting won't be a push. It'll be a squash.
Was this written by Vince Russo?
That's exactly what I was about to say. That's exactly what I was going to say. Yeah, it was weird. It was like this insider.
I'm going to say all these cool things for all the smarks out there, even though I hate the smarks too. I'm going to cater them and then just step on their balls. Yeah, and then Cameron Grimes comes out and he says, man, Finn Balor sucks. Okay,
hold on. We have him. He has a match first against
Denzel
Dejournette. He pretty much double stomps Denzel. I mean, even though Denzel Dejournette got
double stomps on Denzel.
Grimes was on the mic after this. He says,
"This is the best part.
His times are changing around here. It's Grime time. I'm better than this. Cameron Grimes deserves more than this right now. Finn Balor, if you want the push, then attack him. Too bad someone beat me to it, because if I were there, I'd walk right up to him.
I'd bitch slap Finn Balor because he's a bitch, and I'm a man right here. If he was here, like right now, I would do everything and anything to him. Anything.
And then Finn Balor just sneaks up behind him, and he's like, "Oh, you want to attack me? Slap me, Balor. You want to?"
He's just like, "I'm sorry, man. I didn't mean it."
He's like, "Dude, no, I was
no, man. I won't do this.
It's in the script. I'm sorry, dude."
That's what it kind of came off as. Like, oh, these guys are shooting on each other, bro. This is gonna be written on the sheets.
Yeah. No, it was just weird. He hits him with a double stomp. Like I said, Balor
because it's a mirror match. They do both do stomps.
Where Grimes is, I wrote in my notes, Grimes is just in kayfabe where Balor was shooting. At least that's how it seemed.
It's clashing between two dimensions.
Grimes tries to attack Balor, but Balor lays him out. He goes, "There's a snake hiding in the long grass out there. I'll find him, and when I do, the best way to kill a snake is to chop off its head."
Balor out. And then they play his music.
We also have, confirming next week, we will have Grimes versus Finn Balor. Then we go to
next week, Thatcher and
Riddle versus Imperium. Thatcher's
that's gonna look like that. NXT looks pretty spicy this next week.
No, it was good show this week, I thought. Main event time, Velveteen Dream, which they actually have this match. They're having this match. And I was the bell's about to ring. I'm like, they're having this match. It's about to happen.
I mean, listen, we haven't heard anything like any new developments from this. I think they just let it pass by, and
we didn't hear anything about Nancy Argentino for 18 years. So
Yeah, but then you would also have to take into account of the background of the accused party as well. Not saying that, you know.
I know we talked about that last week.
Yeah, and
but Velveteen Dream versus Adam Cole, the two exchange. I didn't like this match at all. I'll be honest.
oh yeah, no, Velveteen Dream sucks without a crowd.
This match sucks. The two exchange strikes. Cole tossing the solid steel stairs. The solid steel stairs. That was hard to say. Cole goes for two kicks to Dream's legs, knocking him down. He attempts the last shot, but Dream hits a spine buster to Cole. These two go back and forth, trading moves. Backstabber to Dream, and Dream hit the biggest loogie out of his mouth that I've ever seen. It was pretty disgusting. Yushi Goroshi to Dream, followed by a kick out. Scary move, though, when Cole hits a super kick to Velveteen Dream, and Dream falls on him, kind of in a pinning predicament. But he kicks out. Bobby Fish and Roderick Strong come down to the ring holding hands. I don't know if you noticed that. It was kind of fun.
I didn't.
And then who comes slithering out of under the ring?
This was the best part of this entire match.
But did you notice it? Did you notice somebody was crawling like a snake? That's who attacked Finn Balor, dude. It's Dexter Lumis.
Good eye.
Dexter Lumis appears slithering from under the ring. He takes out Undisputed Era. And the ref inadvertently purple Rainmaker to Adam Cole, but there's no ref to count because he's knocked out. Super kick, last shot to Dream. Adam Cole pins, Velveteen Dream retains, and that is NXT.
Yeah, it was a bad match.
It was horrible.
Velveteen Dream just does not have it in terms of in-ring work. He is entirely dictated by the audience. You know,
Yeah.
People want to get, when people get behind him, that kind of lights a fire in him. And without that, he's kind of just a guy who just flails around all around, and not because of his character. That's just how he moves, like, as a person. And I just wasn't into it.
Yeah. Well, that was NXT. That was AEW. That was news. That was the
match of the week. What was the match of the week?
Aaliyah versus no. I mean, it had to have been AEW, right? The tag match.
I'm gonna say Kaz and Moxley. That was real meat and potatoes.
You like meat and potatoes, don't you?
It's a good
It's a good dish.
It's a good dish, man.
But let's wrap things up here.
We went really long.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe at CWR415 Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Check us out on YouTube. And thank you. Thumbs up if you like, thumbs down if you don't. But hey, some sort of reaction. I don't know. Guys, we'll see you later. Bye.